Shalom, and welcome to Honk if you're Israeli, the only podcast brave enough to navigate the beautiful disaster that is Israeli traffic. I'm Moshe, and if you're listening to this while driving in Israel, please pull over. Seriously, we've all seen what happens when you eat falafel behind the wheel. Oh, you haven't heard the falafel story? Buckle up, my friends, and I mean that literally because this perfectly encapsulates everything about driving in the Holy Land. Picture this, a small car careening through a roundabout. You know, those circular death traps we call kikar, where the rule is whoever honks loudest has right of way. This car is completely out of control. Both the driver and passenger are screaming in terror, and the car launches itself like a rocket out of the roundabout onto the sidewalk and smash right into a wall. Now, this is where it gets peak Israeli. The driver climbs out, dusts himself off, surveys the damage, and then, I cannot stress this enough, goes back into the wreckage to retrieve his half-eaten falafel and continues eating it right there on the sidewalk. Because God forbid, you waste good tahina. That's lesson number 1, folks. In Israel, your priorities are family, country, and finishing your lunch. In that order. Speaking of priorities, let's talk about the language of love here in Israel. Honking. In other countries, the horn is for emergencies. In Israel, it's a full conversational tool with more nuances than ancient Hebrew. We have different honks for different occasions. There's the cheerful, "Hello, I see my friend on the sidewalk." Honk, short and musical. The urgent, "Move it, Grandma, some of us have places to be." Honk, longer, more insistent. The philosophical, "I'm not actually angry, but this is how I communicate my existence to the universe." Honk. And my personal favorite, the existential, "I'm honking because everyone else is honking and I don't want to be left out." Honk. I once tried honking at a friend in Jerusalem, and he didn't even look up. Of course not, because in Jerusalem, if you looked up every time someone honked, you'd spend your entire day staring at the sky like a confused tourist, wondering if it's some kind of religious ceremony. Meanwhile, I have a cousin in Canada who tells me that when someone honks there, the entire neighborhood calls the police to report suspicious activity. "Hello, 911? Someone used their car horn. Yes, I'll hold while you dispatch the SWAT team." Now let's discuss the real rulers of Israeli roads. The scooter drivers, these fearless warriors, have decided that physics is merely a suggestion, and traffic laws are more like traffic guidelines. These are people who look at a sidewalk and think, you know what? This is basically a premium bike lane with pedestrian obstacles. Or they're stuck in traffic and suddenly realize, the shoulder of the island highway, that's prime real estate just sitting there unused. Last week, I witnessed a scooter driver who was simultaneously eating a sandwich, talking on his phone, and weaving between cars during rush hour. And you know what? He was probably still signaling better than half the car drivers around him. The multitasking skills are genuinely impressive. In any other country, this person would be recruited by NASA. So what qualifies you to pilot this spacecraft to Mars? Well, I once delivered pizza in Tel Aviv during Yom Kippur traffic while my girlfriend gave me driving directions via WhatsApp voice messages. You're hired. When can you start? Let me share something that baffles scientists worldwide, the great Israeli traffic mystery. So everyone's working from home now, right? Post-COVID, flexible schedules, Zoom meetings in pajama pants, and yet somehow traffic is 23% worse than before the pandemic. How is this even possible? Where is everyone going? I have a theory. I think Israelis got so used to being stuck at home that now we just drive around for the sheer joy of being in traffic again. It's like we miss the communal experience of sitting motionless on the island highway while questioning our life choices. Honey, I'm bored. Want to sit in traffic for 3 hours? Oh, wonderful idea. Should we take the scenic route through the Azrieli interchange where we can contemplate the meaning of existence? But seriously, the real culprit is errands. We've become a nation of errand runners. Before COVID, it was, I'll take the bus to buy groceries. After COVID, I need my car to buy a single banana from the macole next door because what if there's, I don't know, more traffic on the way back? And don't forget our weekly 24-hour transit shutdown. Every Friday night, the entire public transportation system just disappears. Sorry, God said no buses today. You want to go somewhere on Shabbat? Better learn to drive like the rest of us heathens. Which brings more people to cars, which brings more traffic, which brings more honking, which brings more chaos. It's the circle of Israeli life, and Elton John should write a song about it. Time for my favorite segment, Israeli GPS versus reality, where we learn that Waze is basically playing an elaborate practical joke on all of us. GPS cheerfully announces, turn right in 200 meters. Reality check. There is no right turn. There is only a falafel stand, an angry cat, and a man selling bootleg phone chargers. GPS, your destination is on the right. Reality, your destination is on the 7th floor of a building with no elevator, behind a locked gate, guarded by someone's grandmother who speaks only Arabic and ancient Hebrew, and she's not accepting visitors today. And my absolute favorite, GPS optimistically states, slight traffic delay, 2 minutes. Reality, the heat death of the universe occurs first, followed by the invention of teleportation, and then you might reach your destination. I once followed GPS directions that took me through someone's backyard. I'm not exaggerating. I drove past their laundry line. Their kids were playing soccer and just moved aside like this was totally normal. I honked a polite hello because, it would have been rude not to acknowledge my trespassing. Let's discuss the sacred art of Israeli lane changing, or as I like to call it, Vehicular Kutzpa. In driving school around the world, they teach you to check your mirrors, signal, check your blind spot, wait for a safe opening. In Israel, we teach you to nose your car into traffic until the other driver has no choice but to let you in or become an intimate part of your bumper. It's like a very slow, very public game of chicken, except everyone's playing simultaneously and somehow nobody dies. The beautiful thing is, it actually works. Everyone just accepts it. Because we all know that deep down, we're going to do the exact same thing 5 minutes later when we need to change lanes. There's a strange solidarity in Israeli traffic. We're all terrible drivers together, and there's something comforting about that. It's like a national hobby. How was your commute? Oh, cut off 3 people, got cut off by 2, had a lovely honking conversation with a bus driver who taught me some new curse words. Sounds like a typical Tuesday. And now, my Tourist Horror Stories segment, where we remember that our driving style is, let's call it, an acquired taste. I have a friend who works at the car rental place at Ben Gurion Airport. The stories he tells me about tourists returning cars. One American told him, I rented a nice sedan, and somehow I'm returning what appears to be a battle-tested tank. Another tourist, this British gentleman, said with perfect politeness, I thought I was being pranked. Every intersection felt like a deleted scene from Mad Max. Fury Road, except with more falafel and Hebrew shouting. My favorite was this German couple who got lost trying to find their hotel and somehow ended up in 3 different philosophical arguments with 3 different taxi drivers about the best route to take. By the end, they weren't even trying to get to their hotel anymore. They just wanted to win the argument. But here's the beautiful thing. By day 3, that same British gentleman was honking with the best of us. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in Israel, honk as the Israelis honk, and may God have mercy on your suspension. And that brings us to my favorite part of every episode, why I actually love this Ballagan. Because despite everything I've just described, the chaos, the honking, the scooters treating gravity as optional, There's something magical about Israeli traffic. Yes, it's chaotic. Absolutely, it's loud. But it's also alive in a way that's hard to explain. There's this weird energy where everyone's in a hurry, but somehow we're all in this beautiful mess together. Like when it's pouring rain and a complete stranger with a car motions for you to jump in. No questions asked, just pure Israeli hospitality on wheels. Or when you're clearly lost and 3 different drivers start shouting directions at you through their windows. Sometimes contradictory directions, but the intention is pure gold. And let's be honest, after learning to drive here, everywhere else feels like you're moving through honey. I drove in Switzerland once and kept waiting for something exciting to happen. Where are the scooters? Why is everyone following the speed limit? Where's the creative interpretation of traffic laws? This is so orderly. Israeli driving gives you reflexes like a ninja and confidence like an Israeli. Plus, we have the best road trip snacks in the world. You cannot tell me there's anywhere else where you can get fresh burikas at a gas station at 3 a.m., while a man with a mustache explains his theory about why traffic lights are actually a government conspiracy. And if you do crash while eating falafel, at least you crash with dignity and excellent seasoning. That's all for today's episode of Honk If You're Israeli. Remember, drive safely, honk responsibly, and never, ever eat tahini while navigating the Azrieli interchange during rush hour. That's just asking for trouble. If you survived your commute today, you're already winning at life. And if you have your own Israeli driving story, and I know you do, send it to me. I promise to only laugh with you, not at you. Well, mostly with you. Sometimes the stories are just too good. Until next time, I'm David, reminding you that in Israel, every drive is an adventure. Every honk tells a story, every parking space is a biblical miracle, and every arrival at your destination is cause for celebration. Shalom and safe travels, you beautiful chaotic drivers.